Hello and welcome to the HR Like a Boss podcast. I'm your host, John Bernadovich. I have embarked on a journey to get to know amazingly awesome HR and business professionals with the hope to find out what it takes to do HR like a boss. If you enjoy the show, please make sure that you subscribe and hit that 5-star rating. Welcome again to another episode of the HR Like a Boss podcast. I'm your host, John Bernadovich. Super excited today to be joined by CJ Fovozzo. So CJ and I met as a part of a program that we have here at HR Like a Boss in Willery, where we support graduating seniors and encouraging them to get their SHRM certification. And CJ was one of those standout students, recently graduated from JCU, Go Blue Streaks. And I want to give a big welcome to CJ. Welcome to the HR Like a Boss podcast.
Yeah, thanks, John. The pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here, honestly, with you and be able to talk about HR and talk about the things that I love to do.
How would you describe, CJ, your perspective of the purpose of human resources?
Well, John, this is actually a really good question. When I went into college, I had no idea what HR was. I've always known that HR, you were either sent there if you were going to get fired or either you got in trouble with something. Like maybe you set something on fire, although that might be the police, but you went to them if you were in trouble. So when I went to college, I ended up picking this management HR major. And I'm like, what is HR? I really didn't know. And throughout my 4 years, I ended up getting a little bit better with knowing what HR was. And really what I think it is it's like the spine of a company. Without HR or anything, how is a company supposed to move forward? How are you supposed to keep stepping without this HR? So with HR, I do think you need a total, like with the premise of HR, you need a total HR strategy. And with that, that's where I come in as a compensation analyst. I kind of contribute to that HR strategy, but you need to have this unified vision of what is HR at your company. And with that, you can continue to move a company forward. How do you motivate people? How do you reward people? So, and I would also add this to culture as well. We're not culture owners, as I like to say with HR. We're culture drivers. So if there's something with culture that needs to be touched on, if there's something that needs to be kind of elevated a little bit more, especially with your mission, vision, values with a company, I think HR is where we're going to step in and we're going to help drive we're going to drive that culture. We're not going to own it, but we're going to try and make sure you understand as a company, what is our culture? What do we stand for as a company?
How did you start your work career? Tell us a little bit about what that was like and what that journey entailed.
Yeah, absolutely, John. I love telling this story. When I was 14 years old, for some reason, everybody wanted an Xbox or something. I wanted to go get a paycheck. That was what I just wanted to do, was to go work and get started with it. So I actually worked at McDonald's when I was 14. I started there as a crew member, taking orders, cleaning the floors. And 4 years after that, I became a manager when I turned 18. And that's where I kind of got this whole idea of what is management. I didn't know what it was to be a leader. So becoming this manager at McDonald's, and, a lot of people say, McDonald's, it's great for a lot of things. And it was great for me to be able to learn, like, what is management? What can I define myself as a leader? What's my leadership strategy? So with the management, I learned like how to motivate my team a lot. What type of leader I am too. I learned that I am accountable for what my team does. So when I become manager of wherever I go in the future, I am going to be accountable for what my team does. That's all part of management, and especially giving critical feedback, not negativity feedback, but just critical feedback that helps employees just uplift themselves. They did something wrong. I'm there to help correct them. I'm there to guide them as they go along. So that's what I really learned a lot at McDonald's. And, people, oh, it's fast food. It's not really a business world. Well, it gave me a lot of life lessons. And I took those into John Carroll when I was selecting majors coming into the college, and I saw this management HR major. And I'm like, oh, I really like management. What's this HR thing? As I just talked about, I had no idea what HR was. So I ended up becoming this management HR major and ended up loving it throughout my 4 years. I love the business school at John Carroll so much, I picked up another major. So I graduated with MHR and marketing. So I just loved how John Carroll was with the business school. I loved how the concept of business worked, how management worked, and how marketing worked. It just really intrigued me. And that's how I really got to step foot into this business world. And I can't regret anything that I did from it.
Well, hey, CJ, you've been an awesome guest. I'm going to get you out of here like I do all guests of the show with one simple question. How would you describe someone that does HR like a boss?
Yeah. So I'm going to speak to everyone that's listening, and I really want to touch on young professionals, college students. To be an HR like a boss, get out there. You can be an HR like a boss even if you don't have a career yet. If you're in college, you can still HR like a boss. Get involved with the HR community. I know Cleveland, if you're listening from Cleveland, we have a huge HR network around here. C-Sherm just went to one of their events. It was an incredible experience. Find local events like that and then start building relationships with people in the field. That's how you can, as a young professional college student, get out there and start learning about the field, start seeing what you like in HR, especially you're going into these entry level roles, HR specialist, HR coordinator, anything. Start thinking about what you like in HR. There's so many branches you can go. That's my biggest advice. I learned very on that I really like the money, so I was going to go with compensation. So I also think too, if you want to HR like a boss, listening to your employees is huge. I've always loved hearing people's stories. I'm really big into just sitting there and listening to stories that my friends used to tell. I used to work in different places where other people tell me different stories. I love that part of HR. Make sure you're listening to your employees. If they are telling you stuff that you may not want to hear or that might be hard to hear, that's okay. Start internalizing it. How could you act on it if you need to? I think that's one of the biggest things. And then I would also add to, continually develop yourself as a professional. Look for those opportunities that I mentioned. Even if you are a seasoned professional executive in your company, go out there and go to different events. Go say, hey, I want to go to this SHRM event. I want to go to this area wide event or something, just to get out there and start developing yourself professionally. It's all about continual learning, and being an HR like a boss, continually learn and be able to expand your horizons with stuff in business and in HR.
CJ, home run. Great job.
Thank you. Appreciate it, John. It's been a great pleasure being here.
Thanks for checking out the HR Like a Boss podcast. If it resonates with you, please leave a rating and review, or better yet, subscribe and share with a friend. Until next time, let's continue to aspire to do amazingly awesome HR.